Hello, changemakers, global citizens, and thriving humanity leaders. You may be thinking, Carly, hold on a second, that's not me. I'm not a leader. That's crazy and intense. But you are. You are a leader. It is you, because all of us are going to have to learn how to lead now. We have officially entered a new age, an age that I like to call the age of disruption. And this isn't just normal disruption. This is actually brand new to mankind disruption, due primarily to technological advancement. We are more connected now than we have ever been, right? Within seconds, I can be in contact with Kenya, the Philippines, France, or Argentina. With one simple word search, I'm bombarded by thousands of opinions and sources on diet, mindset, industry changes, and politics. The internet has changed not only how we do our lives and our external world, but it's really changed our internal world. We are learning faster, organizing faster, innovating faster. Life experiences, projects, and product development that used to take a decade is now happening within months, weeks, and hours. This is the age of disruption, and while business plays a big role in these changes, this isn't about business disruption. It's about human disruption. You, me, and your neighbor are being disrupted and challenged to grow at a rate that is uncomfortable, confusing, and can cause a lot of pain and anger because most of us haven't been equipped with the mindset or the skills to cope with it, let alone to really lead through it. So I'm Carley Marcelle, your show host and the founder of the brand new Machi Teen Experience Network. And I do a lot of things, but I care about one really big thing, helping you to not only cope with this new time, but to let it awaken your extraordinary gifts, your extraordinary mission, and your own creative self-leadership so that you can thrive in disruption and we together can come out the other side stronger, kinder, and healthier as a collective. So with that, I welcome you to our brand new show. It's called Reimagined Together, a live web show where we reflect on where we've been, assess where we are now, and we reimagine together where we want to go. Because the future doesn't happen to us, it is created by us right now, right in this moment. It's created by all of us together and determined by what we think is possible. So let's look at where we're going, engage the imagination, and make sure it's a future that we want. Every week we meet with a wide array of leaders who are committed to a thriving humanity future. Together we'll discuss the future of business, the future of systems, and really the future of humans. So it is my intention that you walk away after this show feeling inspired, reflective, comforted, and most importantly, empowered. Empowered to lead, to be the leader that you need in your life, and to start consciously making choices that are going to put us all on a better path together. Baby steps. Because if we take baby steps in the right direction, big things happen quickly. So speaking of baby steps, before we jump in with our guest today, this is an interactive, action-based show. I have opening actions for you to take right now and then closing actions at the end. If you are attending live in this moment, easy one, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Facebook page so that we can stay in touch and you keep up. This is gonna go live every Thursday at 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. Central. Then I would like you to write in the comments on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being things are really tough, 10 being cloud 9. How are you feeling? How are you feeling right now? Scale of 1 to 10. Where are you from? And what big challenge or topic has been haunting you lately? So it can be anything: health, work, leadership, you name it. Just something that's been on your mind. If you're able to add those to the comments, I thank you in advance for sharing a little bit of you with others. It's helpful for us all to kind of see where everybody's at. And now, I would like to introduce you to our guest today. So it is my honor to introduce you to Priya Shah. She is the founder of The Simple Good, an artist, a healer, and a very big voice spreading the practice and power of gratitude to transform how we lead. Let's get to know a little bit about The Simple Good.
Welcome back, everyone. everybody. Well, it's a program that uses art to heal and empower kids around the world. It's also helping our youth right here in Chicago to find the true meaning of their simple good.
My simple good is love and unity, and the reason that it's love and unity is because of all the hate that's going on in the world. And I think that this program is important for all students to have because it teaches you how to find those little things in life and how to cherish them.
It has been our second year at Madero, and it's really been amazing to see how the kids have been a lot more thoughtful and introspective about how they impact each other as well as their community. Even today I heard a couple students that are like, yeah, it's just so important to give back. You know, you can do things such as build a school in Rwanda or create medicine to help sick people. And so, you know, for that to be a part of a student's dialogue is something that will influence them for the rest of their lives.
Here with the Simple Good, we are working together to find solutions and have the students start thinking and being the future of our world.
We need to show that there's hope around with us. As we know, with the earthquakes that are happening, hurricanes everywhere, people are scared, people are worried. Somebody made this program, the Simple Good program, to share art and pictures, to show other people that we care, that we are united.
I like being creative, and I think creativity makes the world a better place with everyone sharing their own ideas. And this program is really important because it helps people come together as a community, as one, and it really makes the world a better place.
And
Hi, Priya.
Hey, Carly. How's it going?
It is going. How are you? How has everything been for you with all of your launches lately?
Yeah, it's been crazy and beautiful at the same time. I'm so happy that we're able to put out more simple good in the world through our new book. And yeah, I'm really excited to get people to engage with it at a different level, especially right now.
Yeah, awesome. Before we dive into all of that, and we're going to go through the book and the simple good, I wanted to just ask you or get started with just generally how you are as a human being today, how you're feeling, and I'd love to hear kind of how you're feeling. How's your heart? What are you noticing around you right now?
I mean, I think I feel it's been just so great, to really take in the small things right now. We're so grateful for beautiful weather right now in Chicago. Yeah, it's been a crazy summer, but it's actually been quite beautiful beyond the chaos, just fresh air and being able to walk around and feeling that sense of peace within that. So I'm always grateful and appreciative of that and that environment being around us. This would be a harder, more difficult time if it was snowing and disgusting outside.
No, I'm already I'm sure all of us are, right? As we watch that temperature, anybody who's watching from Chicago, the second you start to see it drop below 70,
oh my God.
you're like, oof.
It dramatically drops 20 more degrees the next day.
Any day now. How long do I got? 6 weeks?
Oh.
Great. Well, on a slightly more, not serious, but connected note, as we have a lot going on right now. What, for you as a leader, have you found, what has been kind of a little bit challenging for you, or where have you seen a lot of growth recently for yourself in the last few months especially?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a time to confront all of ourselves, right? About what do we do during this time and how equipped are we to navigate this time, not only for ourselves, but also to continue to inspire others to keep moving and keep finding and fighting for hope. And that I've learned is that it, is definitely harder when you are not at that space to find it, right? And always being able to find these notions of good that does surround us. And I think this time actually showed the power of our work. Every day I was able to wake up and think of a simple good, and it really helped me cope with what was going on. It really allowed me to keep hope and also allowed me to build hope for other people. Everybody would ask me why are you how are you so not bothered? How are you keeping? I was like, well, there's still some good, right? And these meaningful interactions that now we're forced to have and being very intentional. I think these are all great things, because just a few months ago, right, we were all so busy and so kind of reckless, right, with our relationships and how we interact with each other. And now we have to be more intentional. I think there is a beauty and a growth within that that will change us forever. So I think there's a lot of good that is underlying this time too.
I definitely agree with you. But it is, as you mentioned, and we'll kind of touch on it a little bit later too, it's so, I mean, when you do the work that you do, and for I feel similarly with some of the work that I've been working on lately, I'm like, it's easy for me to stay connected and set up. And I think it's important that we all kind of find our way of connecting to that, because that's where the hope, well, it is the simple good. So maybe we'll talk about kind of the journey to get there, the journey to getting there. So on that, can you just tell us a little bit about what is the simple good, and kind of where you see it going, what your vision is for what it's able to accomplish?
Yeah, for sure. So we're a Chicago-based nonprofit, and our mission is to connect the meaning of good from around the world to empower youth to become positive activists through art and discussion. So what does that mean? We provide social, emotional learning, and mindfulness-based arts residency programs, all centered around this notion of finding our meaning of the simple good. And it's really, the purpose is to transcend the message that no matter where you go in the world, good really means the same to all of us, and that is what connects us as human beings. And so our kids go through an exploration of discovering different perspectives of positivity within ourselves, right? What is good within me and around the world? What is good around the world, around surrounding my, niche and my bubble that I can also connect to? And how can I bring that back into the community to fuel positive activism here where I live? And so we've been able to do this program not only in Chicago, but also outside of Chicago and New York and Miami, and also internationally in East Africa. We work in Rwanda and Uganda. So, and the goal and the vision is to be able to do the simple good all around the world and get our students from different places in the world to really connect under that notion of what does good mean to all of us, in order to really develop empathy and resilience skills at a younger age, right? When we find hope is really what fuels resiliency, and we need to foster that at a young age. Also being able to connect with folks that are different than us, right? It's so much harder to find that connection and take away biases at an older age. But when you're connecting to people that seem different, you realize they're not as different. It sits with you for the rest of your life, and it allows us to be better decision makers for our community members and our leadership in the future. So I think that's a really true long-term vision for what we're trying to do here, is make us more empathetic, thoughtful leaders in the world.
Great. And I always find it so interesting to see where founders, the founder journey, right? What personal journey brought you to this place, and this realization that this sort of work needs to be done. So for you personally, in your own life, where did that start?
It's been a long journey for sure. Well, basically, I grew up as an artist, and then I had the opportunity to do a lot of international poverty alleviation work. I worked at Mother Teresa's orphanage. I was in slums in South Africa and Brazil. And what I learned from those experiences was that idea and notion of teaching resilience, right? And those really come from fostering the small good things within us and around us, and being able to acknowledge that. I remember working at the orphanage, and there are children there that have gone through so much within such a short period of time, and it can be very overwhelming walking into that type of space. And what I learned from the kids was that they really had the ability to see beauty within other people and acknowledge it, and also seeing beauty around them and call that out. And that's what kept them resilient, no matter what had happened to them, is that because they knew and acknowledged and recognized that there is good in the world, and therefore there is a life worth living, and they were going to continue to move forward. And I really was taken aback. That was kind of my moment of wow, because it made me reflect on myself too. As we all go through things when we're younger and trying to find ourselves, I was really struggling with a lot of things that the world had given me. I was, a minority in my community. Being a woman in this world is very difficult, and I'm born with one hand. And so there's so many different levels of oppression that I was going through constantly at a very young age. And I always found myself thinking, like, why is the world so hard? And after witnessing this type of resilience, I looked at myself and was like, what am I complaining about, right? I have so much that I could use to really not only better my own life, but the people around me and my larger community. And I wish I had been taught this earlier, right? So I could have, spent more time focusing on the good versus the bad. And I feel like, I really felt like people didn't teach that. That's not something that was valued back home. And that was like a seed that was planted in me at a very young age of, I need to spread this. I need to share it. People need to do this, and that became my mission. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was going there. And so I decided when I was going to university, not many people in this world get the opportunity to go to university. So instead of teaching or learning art, I decided to go into business. After seeing the gap between business and the social sector internationally, I felt like there are two groups of people that need each other in order to create more positive impact, but they both spoke different languages. And so they weren't able to work together. And so I wanted to learn that in order to eventually bring it back somehow. So I studied accounting and finance, and everybody's like, why are you here right now? Because I was always known as the artist. And, I went into the corporate accounting finance route. I was working at the Big Four, then I worked at a startup.
You doing these things.
I had a very
right? It's just
right. It was a different lifestyle. But I was taking, this was always in the back of my mind. So I was taking what I could learn from these experiences to eventually, bring it together. And I founded The Simple Good actually through a photo blog called The Simple Good that went viral. Yeah. So it was kind of this discussion amongst friends about these small good things that we see no matter where we are in the world, right? These small everyday joys, whether it's a sunset or act of kindness or a smile, and how that means the same to all of us. And so it was a collection of 54 photos from our travels and the places that we lived. And we put in a blog and kind of opened it up to the world and said, everybody submit your meaning of the simple good. And within a week, the blog went viral. We got submissions from all over the world, people sharing their stories of the simple good, sending us messages, thanking us. There was, Spain, Brazil, a newspaper in Italy wrote about us. We got all these, it was crazy, but it was so beautiful, right? Because as you go through all the photos and stories, you realize good really means the same to all of us. And it was
so on that I'm so one of the a few different questions, we'll see which one to start with. Gratitude, we talk, one of the things that you mentioned is we're not taught resilience or the power of the simple good young, and no matter what background we're from. And, and everything's always relevant, right? Always somebody that's worse off and somebody that's better off. Although quite the range. But, at the same time, why do you think it is that we're not taught the simple good? The power of, I often can see gratitude kind of being used as an excuse sometimes. Like we'll talk about it a little bit more like trending, like what's trending on Instagram, and it's like, just be happy, be positive sort of thing. And I think the gratitude that you're speaking of in the simple good is so much deeper than that. Because we still need to change, right? If you're in a hard circumstance, we want to get better. We want to improve our environment and improve ourselves. So how do we, this balance with gratitude, why do you think it is that we aren't taught how to do this? And how do we find that balance between looking for improvement and also finding contentment with what beauty we have?
I think why we aren't taught, especially in America, is a couple of things. Overall, humans have a negativity bias, right? We're always biased towards the negative because we feel that is more powerful. But the truth is that actually positivity is just as powerful. It's really about us training our mind to determine what we want to focus on and how we want to react, right? And so that's something that needs to be taught, just like anything else, right? Like, how do we speak to each other? How do we show respect? How do we navigate, and communicate who we are? Those are things that we also have to train ourselves to do. And I think that when it comes to, gratitude and being content with yourself, humans are evolutionary people, right? We're constantly changing, and we're meant to change, and we're meant to develop understanding over and over again, right? And so there's one thing to be content, but once you're content, it's also this navigation of how do I become better, right? To not only just not to improve, but also to grow and evolve and actually experience the world to our fullest extent, and not doing it just for the sake of, oh, I've gotten better, right? It's more of a mental thing, I think, and how we even evolve and philosophically see life is something that I think is different than what's trending all the time.
Definitely. Do you have any? I've seen some of your clips and stuff on your pages. So if you're not following Priya and the Simple Good on whatever, all the social, we put up some of the, right? Okay, there we go. So just go ahead and make sure to do it, because it'll just make you feel good. Cheer. You can get involved with her, and you'll see some pretty incredible stories. And I've been following and appreciate a lot of the stories that you share. Is there anything in particular, a particular challenge or community? I know you work in a few different communities where you've seen young kids especially just go through a major transformation when they make the shift.
Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time, right? Like, it's really incredible how, like, surrounding humans with the notion of positivity for a short period of time really creates hope, and therefore creates the trajectory of the direction that they decide to go, right? And so, there's just so much. I mean, one of our communities is in Little Village, and right now Little Village is going through a lot, especially with the pandemic. But a lot of our kids do have siblings in gangs, and that's a thing that, like, they have to grow up with and are kind of confronted with all the time. And it comes up in the classroom, and you could see sometimes when kids are going in that direction too. At a very young age, as young as like 6th grade, right? That they're getting prepped in time for this. And it's been really cool to see, like, some of our kids, especially young boys, that aren't really taught to express themselves, right? Because young men are always taught to keep things in. And so when they're going through these, transformations, it's very dangerous. But they're in our program, and we've had, especially one student, he would always come in, the teachers would say, like, swearing and being rude and just trying to be a strong macho dude. And after he was a part of the Simple Good program, and he saw other kids were also, like, looking to strive to have positivity, and we're trying to be good, he really actually transitioned himself. He stopped hanging out with those members, and he started, cussing less and being polite and actually trying to engage in more of a positive direction. And it was only a matter of, like, a semester of our program, right? So it just shows the impact of these interventions that can have on students at a young age when you teach them hope, how they can also facilitate that for others once they have, experienced it themselves.
Yeah. We talk a lot. There's an organization that I really love, and I think they're out of Chicago. Have you heard Cure Violence?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they have intervention. And the lead researcher, founder, who I cannot think of his name right now, but all of his research has been around how behavior is contagious, and violence is a disease that's contagious. Yeah. And in the same way, the Simple Good and positivity, or we won't call it optimism, hope, is contagious as well.
Yeah.
And finding those moments, but it does, like you're talking about with men, and I think with women as well, but especially men. Having hope is super vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah, and I think part of it is because, we don't believe in it, right?
Right, yeah.
We have this negative bias of, like, we need to be, like, everything sucks. Like, we need to have that persona in that front all the time. just because everybody else is. And when we create a space of hope, it actually allows us to feel better, not only about ourselves, but also what we can do for each other and navigate the world. Like all these positive emotions release serotonin and positive hormones within our body. We're meant to feel this way. And not allowing that is also a control mechanism, right? When you're not allowing people to be happy, you're not allowing people to express and participate in activities that provide that internal peace scientifically, you're able to control them. Because when you're unhappy, you will follow orders, right? When you're unhappy, you will just, you won't contribute to the world. But when you are happy, you have this magical power that is unleashed with you and nobody can stop you, right? And so we have to focus on those things. And it really does start from something really small that unleashes this power within you that can go gravitate through the rest of the world. And that's how we are as humans. And we've lost that, I think. And so a lot of us are navigating this world without knowing our power, right? So many of us not really knowing what our purpose is in the world. And, we have to understand that there are ways that we can find that, despite what anybody says, right? And we have to create spaces that allow that too.
Definitely. It's as you say, when we take it away, that negativity bias or that I can find it so obnoxious because it's often used as strength, right? Like being a pessimist is you being strong. I'm a realist.
I know.
It's just how the world is, and people are horrible to each other, and da 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 da, and I'm like, why do you wake up in the morning?
Right. What are we doing here?
Why do you have kids?
Right. Exactly.
Why do you work out? It's just that it's so easy to be to think that change or that we're just to think the worst. It's much easier. I don't blame anybody who does it. I get it. It's hard. The world is tough. But making the choice to hope, to show up for the change, to finding the power, to taking accountability for your own internal alignment and how you lead yourself and others, and believing that we can make it better, as an emotional experience, make it better. That's hard. That's strength.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of this work, it is very hard. And a lot of it is because you also have to be strong for other people, right? And, that's a good thing though, right? To have the ability to do that is a very powerful thing that we should all experience. And that is what also connects us to the world and our community and our purpose, is when we are able to also uplift others. And I think that's really, why we're here. We can't survive on our own, right? If we had the entire world and we're by ourselves, what would the world be, right? We have to coexist, and we have to really allow each other to evolve so that we're better together. And, that's the only way we're going to get through this time. That's the only way that we're going to get through this life. And that's the only way we're going to learn from our time on this earth. So,
yeah. Amazing. I want to jump into your book. I want to go through our actions, but actually while we're on this note, let's go ahead and reimagine, because we talk a lot that the show and the thing that we're trying to play around with is it's very hard for us to change if we can't see where we're going, right? So that negativity, or whatever it is, if we think that the only way is just repeating past patterns and, repeating the mistakes of the past, so to speak, if that's all that we can see, and in the same way that we've been disempowered by not finding the simple good, I also find we've been disempowered by not being able to imagine different than where we are.
Definitely.
So what do you think, if we reimagined, what leadership, what shifts do you think you would see really be possible or happen if all of us started to really focus on the simple good and allowed it to transform in the way that you've seen it work on people thus far?
I think that it would really shift how we lead, because a lot of, how we lead is only through experiences of who we intersect with and who we interact with and who we understand, right? And by understanding the simple good within ourselves and how that connects to every single individual in the world, no matter their walk of life or where they're from, what they look like, or anything like that, it makes you more conscious about how you affect people, how your decisions are going to make a change in whatever the community it is, not only your own. And make more thoughtful leaders, right? We have a lot of leaders and we're like, what were they thinking? And a lot of it is that they didn't even consider it, right? Because they don't know anybody that might be different, or they don't connect anybody that might be different. And I think, and no matter what industry you're in, it doesn't even mean in government, like, it's just so critical for us to understand humans, right? And humanity. And that's how we make business decisions. That's how we do what's best for who's working for us. That's how we do what's best for our constituents, our partners, our investors, everybody. And I think if we all do think about the simple good, we would be more intentional, thoughtful, peaceful leaders, and live in a society that really does, engage each other, rather than what we have today.
And okay, wonderful. I hope that we can all just kind of sit on that and really think on the power of just one, that it starts with just that internal journey first. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's just contagious. It does spread to others. Where do you see the common pitfalls? Right, so when we're kind of working on the simple good, we like it, we're finding that the peace, the good, but then something starts to pull us away from it.
Yeah, this comes up in our classroom a lot, and I'm not the dictator of what good means, okay? But sometimes I do have to set some boundaries. And I've had a lot of kids, and this is just a societal thing. People say simple good is money, right? Is things like materialistic things, basically. Those are things that they think are the simple, and that's really not what it's about, right? Those are really, barriers to get to the truth, right? We didn't have money and we didn't have things, we could still find that simple good. And those are not the means to get there. And so we have to take away these, material values that we think are going to fulfill us and evolve us, because they actually stunt us, right? And they prevent us from knowing ourselves, and they prevent us really forming and developing community. It's something beyond that. And so I always am really redirecting, but like, what if you didn't have any of those things? And do we really need those things, right? Do we? We don't, right? Because we don't. Because you know what? At the end of the day, a space isn't meaningful or isn't great unless you have good people and energy around you, right? You have all the money in the world and the space could still be depressing, right? And if we took that away out, what would make that space really purposeful for you? And that's really about the energy and the good intentions that people bring, including yourself. And thinking about that more, about like what also is that simple good within us, that positive energy and intention within us that we are able to bring out no matter where we're at. And are we doing that all the time, right? We all have the capacity for good. We all have the capacity of making an impact. Are we doing it? And are we exploring what that is, with that inherent truth and quality for our gift to shine to other people? Are we actually, sharing that with others? And I think it's a duty for us to do that. I don't think it's an option. It's a responsibility, so.
Yes, I love that you called that out, because I think that this is where gratitude can get, not like that it's misleading or anything. It's just that you're not really diving into what it's capable of doing. Is we go, right? It's like, what are you grateful? I'm grateful for the fact that I have my house, that I have a pool. Mm-hmm. It's like, and what happens when those things go away?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've had kids say their lake houses or their simple good. Yeah. Like, no, we're not doing that.
No, this isn't going to help.
Also, that's a privilege, so we're going to talk about that too.
Right. We got a few conversations. But I love that, and I think it's so important when we really look at the simple good and practicing gratitude, getting our material world out of the equation in our immediate relationships, because that's where we can get all cluttered with things. And as I say, you can be happy and have a beautiful life when you have a hut in the middle of wherever.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of international work, right? And I'm in very remote places and we don't have much when we're out there, but it's still absolutely beautiful, fulfilling, and it feeds your soul because there is so much natural beauty, right, in this earth that humans don't need to touch or have done anything to still convey this amazing, fulfillment within all of us. And it just shows you that we don't need much to be happy. We just need to make sure that we are true to ourselves so we can receive these things and not fill it up with things that we like to make. So
There was I took one trip. Talk about privilege. Come from it. But we did a safari right when I was 22. So we were going to Kenya and Tanzania, and it was for my dad's 50th or something. It was huge, and I actually didn't want to go because I was like, I'm gonna feel no. I'm not gonna go on this fancy safari in the middle of a place where, I know that people don't have a lot, and none of this sounds is appealing to me. But of course, my mother is very convincing, so I.
Good, I'm glad.
Oh, it was a phenomenal trip for so many reasons. But I was expecting to feel guilty and a bunch of not great emotions, other than seeing a beautiful land. And it was actually the opposite. We went into some of the schools, in these small villages and stuff. And the kids are all blunt, like it was, young, like six. Like you had 6-year-olds and then you had 16-year-olds, all in the same, in the same schoolyard. And I just saw how these kids were interacting with each other, and how loving and kind and supportive. And, the 16-year-old would have like 3 of them on the arms and this, and they're playing. They're all like, I swear to God, I've never seen kids so happy in my life. And I sat there looking, going, that is not the school I went to. We were not like that with each other, at all. There was bullying, there was cool stuff, there was competition, there was, from a young age, there wasn't this sense of connection and the amount of gratitude and kindness and connection that was there when there was nothing else. And that was my big lesson from going, is I was like, oh no, I wasn't guilty. I was actually jealous. Weird.
Yeah.
Experiencing that.
That's why it's so important to step out of our comfort zones and stuff, because we don't realize what we don't know, right? And we can't learn what we don't see. You know what I mean? We all have expectations of what might be different, and we might have fears of what might be different, but you actually take away and learn about yourself every time you engage with that in an open-minded fashion. That's why I love traveling. I know every time, even where I studied abroad in many different countries while I was in university, I always picked a place that would give me some sort of culture shock, because I just wanted to learn about people, and that makes you learn about yourself at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your pivot here in COVID. So typically, give us kind of normally, what does your work, how do you kind of engage with communities so that we kind of see what it was like pre-COVID?
Yeah, so we usually do basically an arts residency program that we bring to different schools, hospitals, and nonprofits based on social emotional learning and mindfulness. So it's a 8 to 10 week program. Our art therapists and our teaching artists are going to our partner programs and communities and implementing our program and working with different classrooms in school and after school. To teach about different notions of the simple good. We create a body of artwork together that represents our meaning of the simple good. And at the end of the program, the students are invited into different creative institutions around Chicago, where they do a pop-up art showcase, and they display their artwork and talk about their meaning of the simple good and how they'll use it to change the world. So that piece is incredibly powerful, to be able to bring kids into places like Google, Northwestern University, art galleries, really cool institutions that do, support creativity, innovation, and the arts, and allow our kids to come into these spaces. And a lot of times it's the first time our kids have gone downtown, right, or come out of their community. So it's a very powerful piece, because it allows them to also see that, oh, wow, I can belong here too. Oh, wow, like there is a career here that I could maybe pursue, and bridging those gaps. So that was, our program pre-COVID, and now we can't meet. And so it was, we converted virtually, doing everything online. And it was great to see, how our program was still able to transcend digitally. However, the reality is that many of our kids did not have access to internet, right? And also within this difficult time, especially in low-income communities, our kids' parents were losing their jobs, so now our kids became essential workers. So they're not even able to learn, even if they had access. And so how do we still deliver the simple good, and how do we deliver coping skills, especially right now when it's super critically needed for everybody? When you have this huge digital divide, mental health is already an issue before COVID. About 50% of all adolescents felt like they have had a mental health issue.
Right.
And over 75% of those kids do not get any form of support. That was pre-COVID. So now when you don't have access to school, those numbers are surging, because usually that's your base of where you're getting access to that support. And so that was our response. We basically put our curriculum in a book, right? And invited artists from all around the world that support us to submit a coloring book page that also shared their meaning, the simple good, and talk about their artwork and how they're coping during this time. So we're putting it out to, we put it out to the community and got an overwhelming response for this book. And we're trying to get it out to over 3,000 kids in Chicago right now. So I'm super excited. Everybody loves the book.
I'm getting it done quickly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead. We're gonna, if we could, we'll put through in the chat the link to donate a book if you are able to. Right, there's no pressure, of course, if you're not. If this is something that you're able to do, that'll be coming through in the chat. It'll also be below in the links on this video once it's stored. And let's watch a quick video on what this book is, because Priya did an amazing video that kind of shows the project.
Yay!
Such a great video, so cute and so cool. I love all the international artists. Just
Yeah, we're so blessed to get so much, support from artists from around the world. And these are like amazing, renowned artists. They have collectors and stuff, and they're willing to support this initiative during this time. It's just been really a labor of love. So I'm really happy it's coming out finally.
awesome. I'm glad it's doing well, and it'll continue to do so. So for those of us that have not really mastered the simple good yet and need a little help before we go out and close, for today, can you give us all a little bit of guidance on one little step, one challenge to kind of put us on the simple good path?
I mean, I think that what's something that we should all focus on within this time, as things are slowing down and we have a little bit more time to reflect on ourselves and the things that we do have, is what is that simple good within us that we carry with every day, that we're inherently born with, that we can exert into the world every day and make it just a little bit better. And when we do that, consistently, we realize how much of a larger impact that we are making. A lot of times when you make an impact on somebody, you actually never hear about it, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, right? And so we have to always constantly think about that power that we have within us that we can share with other people to really make this time a better place for all of us.
That's great. If there was an example, just in case, because I want to make sure that it's very clear. A simple good within the self. So like, what does that look like for you? Like, what would that thing be that you would maybe identify, that thing that maybe you weren't aware of earlier on?
Yeah, no, that's the beautiful part about, self-examination, right? It always evolves. So the simple good about myself as a young child was me being an artist. I knew my art held a power that I could share with the world and allow people to be happy. And from that, I also evolved in learning about the fact that now I'm actually learning about people, right? And understanding that empathy within me is really growing. And now I exert that and teach that. And through that, now, I'm able to also understand, the power of compassion. And so I think it's like such a beautiful evolution of stuff. Of like, when you think of one small thing that's within you that you can bring out to the world, it actually evokes other awesome things about you that you can also continue to evoke.
So great. And that gets us what we didn't touch on, and we might as well just do it now. The relationship with the arts and finding the simple good. Is what so maybe let's just walk through that real quickly.
So basically everything that we do within our program is using art to reflect and express. It's really not about being an artist or being, technically good. It's about our ability to storytell and express our thoughts and our emotions just through color and the creation process in itself. I really believe that through creation, you create agency, right? And you create an ability to recognize something that you may not have put into words. And that now becomes a part of you. And so we're using art in order for us to develop these thoughts, understandings, and emotions about self, and cultivating that into a larger body of work to kind of summarize our overall learning. And so, yeah, it's just really a means for us to get a better understanding of who we are.
I love it. So maybe we can do 2 books. We need to donate a book, but I think we could all use a book too.
Yes, this is definitely, everybody can use this book. Okay.
This is kind of like self-donation as well, so that we can work on our own exploration of the simple good, and start to discover what that is.
Yeah, I've been telling actually many adults, I'm like, this is something that we should all be doing, especially right now, right? Like the prompts, we have meditations in the book, we have journal entries, we have art activities, and also coloring is very therapeutic. It doesn't end when you're a kid, right? And it's definitely something an adult can use. So I encourage everybody to buy one for themselves too.
Great. Good to know. Now I can send people too when I'm like,
yeah.
Book. I think we'll start there.
Yeah, you need to find your simple good. Here you go.
Priya, thank you so much for doing this and joining us on the beginning of the show. I really just so appreciate the work that you're doing and your contribution here. And we look forward to seeing it spread as much as it possibly can.
Definitely. Thank you for your support, Carly. It was so great. Everything you're doing is awesome. So I really appreciate you having me on.
We'll see. All right. Well, I will talk to you very soon. We're going to go ahead and close out the show for today. I wanted to thank everyone for showing up. As I talked about earlier, this is a interactive action-based show. So we had some tiny actions, some actions to take at the opening. I'm going to go ahead and give you some closing actions too. First is really easy. If you enjoyed this interview, please do like the video and send it to just one person who you think could appreciate and or needs this conversation right now. Okay, that's how we get things moving. We really appreciate the word spreading, and we want to make sure that it reaches the right people. Second thing is, if you haven't already, please do follow Priya and donate a book and maybe get one for yourself too. There's no pressure, but otherwise just, follow and share it. Share the experience in the book with other people who you think would be interested in this area. And third tiny action, in the comments, just tell me one thing, one takeaway that you liked from today, one thing that helped you out. It helps me to continue to go in the right direction, in a direction that helps you. Thank you all for joining us today. Reimagine Together is produced by the Machutin Experience Network, which you can think of as the next generation of a TV network. And here we're on a mission to create quality, innovative experiences that help you to empower each other to create and serve a thriving humanity future. You can learn more about the network on our website, sign up for the email list for upcoming experiences that'll be launching in the months to come. Much love and strength. Bye, everyone. See you next week.